Okay guys, we're going to start by looking at our Chapter 10, Missing Dimensions and Surface Area. And I've got several different examples. I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to have you do one, and then I'll go over it very thoroughly, and then I'll do a different type and so forth and so on. Alright, so the first one we're looking at is find the missing dimension of this rectangular prism. And they've given us the surface area, which is 150 feet squared, and they've given us the drawing, which is the 9 foot by X by 3 rectangular prism. Now I want you to go ahead and draw this, so you need to pause so that you can take notes and not be copying down a picture the whole time. So pause now and make this beautiful drawing. Okay, so let's set this up. First of all, we're really lucky with this type of example because we actually have a formula. And remember that that formula is surface area equals 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times height times width. And again, it doesn't matter which way you go as long as you're not duplicating. You notice I've got LW, LH, and HW. None of those are duplicating, so I'm good. Definitely double check that. Okay. All right. Now, as always, I said before that we need to make our little key. So I'm going to identify that my L is this, my W is this, and my H represents this. So for L, I'm going to say it's X. For width, I'm going to say 9. And for height, I'm going to say 3. Okay. Now you could have used X for W instead and 9 for L. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, in the end, it's still going to be all good. Okay, we're all going to come up with the same answer. So just go with me. All right, so now we've got, and they've given us surface area as well. So I guess we could put our surface area in our little key here as 150. So now I'm going to go and fill in what I know. So I've got the 150 equals 2 times X times 9 plus 2 times X times 3 plus 2 times 3 times 9. Just enough room. Now, this looks crazy, right? We're going to need to simplify it. So I'm just going to look at each part, each of my little sections here where I'm multiplying because I know that I can simplify those parts. So for the first one, 2 times X times 9, it could be written as 2 times 9 times X. And we can do 2 times 9 and make 18x. Then for the next one, 2 times x times 3, we can rewrite it as 2 times 3 times x, which would make it 6x very nice and simply. And then the next one, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 9 is 54. There's nothing else to do with that, so I'll just bring it on down and put my plus signs in, my equal sign, and my 150. Now, I'm still not at the point where I'm going to solve this because I have like terms and I need to combine my like terms. And in this case, I've got x's right here. So I can combine my x's. So I'm going to combine my x's, and 18x's plus 6x's make 24x's. This is a lot of steps to go with this problem, of course. And then we just bring down the plus 54 and equal to 150. Now, this is a two-step equation, and you should be familiar with that. So for the two-step equation, I'm going to go ahead and subtract out my 54, subtract out my 54, so that this is gone, because I'm doing my inverse operation, and then this is going to be 96 equals 24x. I'm running out of space. Ah, no. So now I'm going to do the inverse operation with my 24 times x, and that's going to be divide by 24. So I'm going to divide both sides by 24. I'm sorry I can't do my beautiful t-chart. But it's going to be x equals 4, and that's 4 feet as my final answer because it's a dimension, so it's in regular feet. So 4 feet is the length. So find the missing dimension. The missing dimension is 4 feet. All right, I know it was a lot of work. but I'm telling you right now it's the easiest one. So it has that formula. It makes it so much faster and neater. All right, so that took us about 5 minutes to do. So I want you to pause the video and draw this amazing picture that I drew, and you're doing this example. We'll call this A. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and let's start that now. Now, I bet you guys are starting to wish that we were back to finding the missing dimension for volume, because this would be a lot easier if we were talking volume with just length times width times height. But we're not. We're on surface area now. Yay! So we're going to plug in what we know. Off to the side here, I'm going to do my key. I've got my length, we'll call 8. My width will be X. And my height is 6. Again, if you did something different, it's okay. We're going to end up with the same bunch of numbers. Okay, yours just might be in a different order than mine, but you're going to have the same gathering of numbers. So let's go over this. So substituting in, I've got my surface area is 532, and I've got 2 times the length, which is 8, times height, which is 6, plus 2 times length, which is 8, width, which is X, plus 2 times height, which is 6, width, which is X, and there we go. Now again, it's very helpful to like underline your sections or put them in parentheses or something, because it's a lot of stuff going on here, right? This long equation looks pretty crazy. And you're not just working from left to right and that's it. You actually have to group together your multiplication and then work with your addition stuff. All right, so for this we've got 2 times 8, which is 16. 16 times 6, which is 96. Is that right? 16 times 6. Oh, I'm so smart. Look at that mental math and memorization skills I have. All right, then we've got 2 times 8, which is 16 times X. And then we have 2 times 6, which is 12 times X. So that'll be 12X. And we bring down that 532. Now again, we have some things we can combine, so we need to get that done. We can put together our X's. All right, so we still bring down our 532 and our 96, but we can put together 16 X's and 12 X's to get 28 X's. So now here's my two-step equation. I'm going to draw my T-chart because I gave myself a little bit more room this time and I'm trying to stay more organized. I'm going to first subtract my 96 to get it out of the way, because I can't possibly start dividing by 28 until I get rid of the 96. So we get rid of the 96, subtract here, borrow 1, and so that's 3. So 436 equals 28x. So now we're going to extend and do another T-chart, which I don't have much room for. We know we need to divide by 28, divide by 28. Okay, and so I'm just realizing when I'm over here doing this little math and then having to go to a separate piece of paper that I really messed you guys up. I swear I thought I gave you some easier numbers to work with. I wasn't trying to make you do some crazy calculations, but if you did it correctly, your x is going to equal, let's say, 15 and 4/7. Or, if you're not quite that lucky to have stopped and tried to make it a fraction, it was 15.571, blah, blah, blah. So we would say 15.57 meters. Sorry. I'll work it out ahead of time next time, I promise. All right, so there you go. 15.57 meters, or 15 4/7 meters is the length. Again, sorry. All right, so now this one, let's see if it can me up, is for me to do, but it's triangular prisms, and as we unfortunately found out in class, there is no formula for that. Woo! So you can use the net or, the generic kind of chart deal that I do, or actually I really just draw and label as I go. You can do it way more organized, like Sarah Barlow showed us in an example that I showed on the board. If I haven't showed it on the board in your class, then let me know and I'll show it on the board because it's great. We need to piece this out, okay? So we're finding surface area of a triangular prism. And so If you made the net, your net would look something like this. Okay, and you need to label it. Or you can do, and it's equilateral triangle, which is really important that you read that. Equilateral triangle means that all the sides of the triangle are the same. So if this is 7, then that means this is 7 and this is also 7. So that's really important for you to pay attention to, that all the sides of the triangles are 7. And that helps you because when you're looking at the rectangle portions, like this side, we need to know this side length here, and if you know this is an equilateral triangle, then you know that those are all 7s. Alright, so here's the net. You can label it up. I like to draw the net, but then I also like to still show the separate pieces. So here are my 3 rectangles, because if it's a triangle, it has 3 sides, meaning that it has 3 rectangles coming off of it to build up to make the prism. And then I have my 2 identical triangles. And even though you really need to only find the area for one of them, I still draw 2 triangles to make sure I don't forget the numbers, because that's really important. So now I'm going to label my pretty little drawings here. I'm going to go with looking at this one right here. So that's going to be 7 by x. So 7 by x. So when I'm doing my base times height formula, it's going to be 7x. That's the area for this one. Then I'm going to find the area of the rectangle on the bottom here, and that is also 7 by x. So I'm going to say base times height will be 7x. So that's the part I'm going to be adding for that side. Then I'm going to do the other side of my triangular prism, and that is, we know that this side is 7, and we know that this is x, so this is x. So what we notice is that all of my rectangles are the same because it's an equilateral triangle. So they are all 7x. Then I'm going to work on the triangles. So my triangles are, they have a base of 7, but they have a, and remember guys, I'm telling you right now, you're going to save yourself if you just focus on what the perpendicular lines are to make that triangle. They always show you with that little right angle box. And so I know that it's going to be a height of 6 and a base of 7. So it's a height of 6 and a base of 7. Height of 6 and base of 7. Now for this one, that formula is 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to be doing 1/2 7 times 6, which is, I'm going to change it around and make it 1/2 of 6 times 7, because then I can do 3 times 7 super easy. 1/2 of 6 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. And so I know that the area is 21 inches squared for each of my triangles. And I know some people are saying, why do we have to divide it by half if we've got 2 of them and we have to multiply it back? Because you need to remember that the formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. I'm telling you that if you don't do the 1/2, you're going to end up doing 42 times 2. It's just what happens. It's not because you don't know the difference, it's just because you lose track. Okay, there's so much going on here. You lose track. It's okay. So now I've got my 2. So you know that there are 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or faces to a triangular prism. And so we have all of them here, and I just need to add them up. So I can combine my 7x plus 7x plus 7x and make those 21x. And I can combine my 21 inches squared plus 21 inches squared and make 42 inches squared. So here's my formula. Well, not formula, sorry, but here's what I'm going to set up. I know that my surface area is 252. I know that all my rectangles added together make 21 times x. And then I know that my 2 triangles together make 42. So this is my equation that I'm going to be working with. So I'm going to subtract 42 from both sides because I can't divide by 21 until I've got one number to work with. I could, but you're not going to end up doing it right, so let's just do it this way. We always start here. And so then I end up with 210 equals 21x I'm going to do another t-chart, divide by 21, because the opposite of multiplication is division, and we get x equals 10, and so I say that the x is 10 inches. That's my final answer. Look at all that work. Again, it took us a lot of time to do it and to set it up, especially because we don't have a formula. It took us twice as long, really. So I understand that these are, time-intensive problems, that maybe they're not hard multiplication problems, but you have to take your time and set them up properly. One little slip, and it's all done. If I didn't put if I used, for my area of my triangle, if I used 7 times 7 divided by 2, like 1/2 of 7 times 7, I used 7 for my base and my height, that would be a mistake, and I would end up paying for it because I would get the wrong answer in the end. And after all this work, you do not want the wrong answer. So make sure you're looking for that perpendicular line to tell you the exact height. Alright, so now you're going to do it on your own. So here's the example I gave you. I'm going to give you an answer right away. Hopefully I did not mess this one up. Alright guys, I'll be right back. Go ahead and pause the video. Alright, so welcome back. I cross my fingers that you have the right answer, but you won't know to the end, so you're going to have to go through the whole thing with me. Nanner, nanner, boo-boo. So, I know this is a long video, but you need it. So we've got, right away what I did is I drew the net. And I know that the nets for triangular prisms always look like this. At least that's how I like to draw them anyway. Where we've got the 3 rectangles and then we have the 2 triangles that I put on opposite ends. Now, so right away I drew my 3 rectangles over here and my 2 triangles over here. Again, if you want to, you can label your net and you can use that. Otherwise, maybe using like different colored or highlighters or markers or something. Just be ready to trash what you did and start over if you get lost in your own picture. Okay, that's why the net's there, is in case you get lost in your own picture. Alright, so let's see. The first side I'm going to do will be right here. And I know that this is X, so that's my long side. And then this is 11, and I know that because over here it says 11. Alright, then for my other side, I'll do a different color. See if this one will show up. No, I don't think it will enough. Let's try just something else. I've got a bright orange. Alright, so now I'll do the bottom. And this is where you have to recognize which one which dimensions you have. We've got X is the side length here still, and 14 is our other base. Alright, and the last one that we need to work on is the other side, the right side, I guess, if you're thinking of it as being like a tent. And this is going to be X as the long side, and this time it's going to be 11. So we have 2 of them that are the same, and then the one on the bottom is actually larger. And then our, let's see, we've got our triangles now. So doing my triangle, I see that I've got 6 is my height, and my base is the 14. So 6 by 14. And so if I'm doing 1/2 times base times height, we've got 1/2 of 14 times the height. 1/2 14 is 7 times 6 will be 42 centimeters is the area for each of these. So I'm going to write it twice, 42 centimeters. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. Adding them together, I've got my 11x plus my 14x plus my 11x again. And so when I combine those, it's going to be 36x. And then my two 42s combined will be 84. And they're telling me that the surface area is 804. So I'm going to set my 804 equal to 36x plus 84. Remember, guys, if you're getting behind my writing, then you need to pause the video so that you can get caught up. Alright, now Let's see, we got some space here. All right, so now I'm going to subtract 84 from both sides. So 720 is equal to 36x. Divide by 36, divide by 36, and we get x equals 20. So the prism height, because really if you're thinking about that, for the prism, this is their height, you know, the distance between the two triangles, that's the height of the prism if I was to put it, you know, on end. And so the height, x, is equal to 20 centimeters. So I hope that your answer is 20 centimeters. If not, maybe you should look through and rework. Maybe you should work, you could always, on a separate piece of paper, work out as I'm working it out, just to find out if you come to the same decision in the end. All right, now we're talking about pyramids. And of course, it's a square pyramid because that's what we were working with in the book. So it makes it a lot easier. I'm going to tell you there's not a formula for this, but I still think that it's a world easier than it was for the triangular one. So, so now, again, the first thing I go to, my mind, first thing I go to is let's draw the net. And it's funny because I draw the net, but then I don't feel like I use it as much as I could, but I just like to see it. I don't know why. If you're labeling your net, we would say, okay, our square is a 2 by 2 square, and then the height of these triangles is x. That's our missing dimension. And so when I'm doing this, I now am going to set up my parts. I've got my 4 triangles and my 1 square. And I know that for my triangles, I'm using 1/2 base times height. And so I'm going to fill in my 1/2 times the base, which is 2, times x, which is the height, because I don't know what it is. And so I'm going to do 1/2 of 2 is 1, and 1, it'll be 1 times x. So ultimately, each of these, its area is just x. Whatever x is, that's what the area number is as well. Now, oh, and I got one more. So I've got 4 of those sides that are all identical. Now I've got my base to work on, which is just base times height, and it's a 2 by 2 base, so 2 times 2 ends up being 4. So now I'm going to set up my equation, or what's going to be my equation. I'm going to combine all my x's. How many x's do I have? Hopefully you see I have 4 x's. And then my base on the bottom is just the 4. So when I put that in as an equation, I'm going to have my surface area is 20 equal to 4x plus 4. This is actually really easy, a bunch of easy numbers to work with here. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and that's gone, and I get 16 over here. And then I know I need to divide by 4 to get the x by itself, because that's our goal. And so 16 divided by 4 will be 4. And so lo and behold, my answer is 4 yards. A lot going on there, but super easy compared to the last one, right? Those triangular prisms are the worst. All right, so you're going to do one on your own now. Remember that first you want to draw it and pause the video, and then come back and start working out the problem, okay? I want you to also pause it and wait until you're done until you come to me. Remember that this is a square pyramid, because that's important to know. And when you come back, I'll go over the answer. Alright, so just like always, I first set up my net, and then I drew out each of my individual shapes. So then I'm going to just plug in the numbers that I know. I know that the base of all my triangles is 5 and that the height of them are x. So I'm going to do 1/2 base times height. I don't know why I'm rewriting that. And the base is 5 and the height is x. 1/2 of 5 is 2.5. Hopefully you use the decimal because I just find it easier to deal with that than the fraction. And so each of them is going to be 2.5. So I've got 2.5 x, 2.5 x, and then one more 2.5 x. So 2.5x, 2.5x, 2.5x. Now doing the square, I'm going to have base times height is going to be 5 times 5, which is 25. No x. So now we're setting it up. We can combine our 2.5 plus 2.5 plus 2.5 plus 2.5, And so now that's going to be 10 x's. So there's 2.5 x's, 2.5 x's, 2.5 x's, 2.5 x's, 10 x's altogether. And so to put this into my equation, to set up my equation, they told us that the surface area is 85. Then we equal that to the 10x plus 25. So when I'm doing my t-chart, I'm going to subtract 25 first and get 60. And then I'm going to divide by 10 and get 6. So I've decided that the height is 6 kilometers, and that is my final answer. All right, I hope you guys did okay on that one. I know it had decimals in it. Ooh, scary, but I think you could get through it. And come to class prepared. We're going to go over a nice review. All right, guys, have a great day. See you in school.